Hi, I'm Erasha Hettige from Sugar, Salt and Sprinkles.
Hi, I'm Damien.
Hi, my name is Sanna.
It's my food venture where I create a range of savory meals.
Cooking for me is being myself.
I'm a big foodie. I love to cook and I also love to go out and eat and try new dishes.
I'm also passionate about using quintessentially Sri Lankan ingredients and shopping local whenever possible.
So today I will be cooking and I will share my recipes.
The experience that I've collected so far, I wish to share with you in homemade. This is my homemade.
This is my homemade.
Stay tuned. This is my homemade. So I come from a family of very good cooks. Both my parents and my brother are exceptional in the kitchen. So cooking food that is delicious and full of flavor is really important to me. So whether it's for my family or even for my clients, I try to use a variety of different ingredients like herbs or spices or condiments and sometimes even different cooking processes to boost the flavor and get as many layers of complexity as I can to a dish. This not only makes my food delicious, but it also shows that there is a lot of love and attention that goes into anything that I create. So today I'm going to be making my boozy triple chocolate dark brownies. These brownies are utterly decadent and they have really crispy crunchy tops and bottoms and a dark fudgy interior. I really hope you like it. Right, so today we will be needing some butter. I'm using salted butter here. 2 cups of sugar, 4 eggs, some flour, cocoa powder, about 100 grams of dark chocolate chips and some white chocolate chips as well as some dark chocolate chips, kalua and a little bit of baking powder. Right, so to get started with our boozy dessert, we're going to start by putting our butter into a pan. We just want the butter to be melted. You can do this in a microwave or even in a bain-marie, but I found that this is the fastest way to get things done. You need to just watch so that your butter doesn't burn. I want to get a nice layer of butter melted in the pan before I add my chocolate, just so that the chocolate doesn't burn. I'm using dark chocolate here because after all this is a dark brownie. So your chocolate goes in and you just want to stir it about just so that it will melt and it's becoming a nice dark mess of chocolate and butter, which is what we want. Just keep stirring so that it doesn't catch the bottom of the pan or even get burnt. So my butter and my chocolate have more or less melted. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to add my sugar. I'm just going to put it in all at once and just mix it together just so that the sugar melts very slightly. It doesn't have to be perfectly melted or perfectly mixed. You just want it amalgamated. Right, so that's done. I'm going to switch it off. This is a really simple dessert because this is all the cooking that actually is happening in this dish. And like I said, you can always use a microwave for this process. Right, so now I'm going to get on to cracking my eggs. I have 4 eggs here. I'm going to crack them one by one. So now I'm going to beat my eggs. I'm going to hold my bowl slightly at an angle like this, just so that you can get a little bit more air coming in. You want to whisk it until your eggs are nice and fluffy and well aerated. Just going up speed once just to make the process a little bit faster. So as you can see, there's a lot of air being incorporated now. That's what we want. And just keep mixing. You don't need to whisk it for very long. Just a couple of minutes should do. Right, you can see there's a beautiful layer of froth that has built up there. That's what we're looking for. And the eggs have also increased very slightly in volume. Our eggs are whisked. As you can see, the processes to this recipe are really quick. It's just melt your butter and chocolate and add it to the eggs. There are a few bits of butter here and there, a few lumps. That's okay. It's going to get whisked in really well when we whisk it all together. I'm going to add the mixture of the chocolate, butter and sugar into my eggs. Put that away. And now I'm going to whisk this all together so that it's nice and well incorporated. You don't need to bother too much. You don't need to make sure that your butter is melted. None of that. Just as long as it comes together, that's fine. Done. Now for the interesting part. One of my very favorite ingredients, kalua. The reason why I'm adding kalua to this dish, you can add rum, arak, whiskey, whatever alcohol that you like. I like using kalua because the chocolate in the brownie is lovely and rich when you add the coffee flavor from the kalua. So just about that much, little bit more, that's fine. And I'm going to use my spatula just to give it a bit of a mix. Done. So let's just put this away. Now we're going to add in our flour and our cocoa. So all the flour, I'm going to add my cocoa powder as well. And I'm going to put a little bit of salt. Now the salt is important because it kind of gives the dish a lovely balance and again boosts the flavor of the chocolate. So we're going to add about half a teaspoon of salt and about half a teaspoon of baking powder. I'm using plain flour for this and not self-raising, so you do need a little bit of baking powder to give it that little boost. And now you have to just mix it in until all the flour and cocoa and all your dry ingredients are nice and incorporated. I'm not using a whisk for this because I don't want to over whisk the glutens in the flour. So I'm just going to mix it until it's just combined. It doesn't need to be perfectly done. It's fine if there are a little bit of flour bits on the outside that haven't been incorporated. That's okay, because actually that's what we're looking for. That actually brings a lovely texture to the dish and gives it that lovely fudgy interior. Right, so mixed, and I'm going to add my chocolate chips. Now here I'm using dark chocolate chips as well as white chocolate chips. I found that the white chocolate chips give the brownie a lovely pop of milky sweetness that makes it really delicious, because against the darkness of the brownie, the pops of white chocolate make it really lovely. So just clatter it in and give it a rough mix. Again, it doesn't need to be perfectly amalgamated. Right, so our brownie mixture is done. So if you look carefully, you can see that there are little bits of the flour still not perfectly mixed. That's fine. So I'm going to put it into my tray. This is roughly a 8 to 9 inch square tray. I'm just going to try and get as much of the mixture in as possible. You can see the sugar is refusing to go because there is quite a bit of sugar that's not melted. That's fine. That's going to create the crust. Right. Mixture more or less in such a mess. That's okay. All over my fingers. Deliciousness. Right. Done. So this is going to go into a preheated oven, preheated to 180 degrees for about 20 to 25 minutes. You need to check it after 20 minutes because an overbaked brownie is something that you really don't want. When you insert a skewer in, the skewer should come out with a little bit of gluggy pieces attached. That's when your brownie will be perfect. So I'm going to put this in the oven and I'll see you in a little bit. Right, so my brownies have been baking and I've cooled them and cut them. You can see, I'm going to show you this one. There's a lovely crust here at the bottom and a really amazing little crust on top. And the inside, if you look really closely, I'm going to break one apart to show you. It's really soft and fudgy. And those little bits of white chocolate chip, that's going to make such a big difference. Right, so to plate, these brownies work really well as is, but I'm going to put one on my plate. And just to make it over the top and extra decadent, I'm going to add a scoop of ice cream, like that, on the side. And I'm going to cover this with a tiny bit of Kahlua. There we go. So the Kahlua on top of the ice cream will just resonate with the Kahlua that we put into the brownie and make it utterly delicious. I mean, Kahlua and ice cream on its own is pretty good, but coupled with this brownie, it just takes it to a whole other level. Right, so now I'm going to taste my brownie, my favorite part. So I'm just going to make sure I get a tiny little bit of the ice cream. It's good if it's melted because it just makes it all the better. Right, into my spoon. Delicious. You can taste the Kahlua really coming through and the crust is so crunchy. It's really good, and coupled with the ice cream as well as the milky sweetness of the white chocolate, the dark chocolate really sings. Here you have it. These are my boozy triple chocolate dark brownies. I really hope that you like them. I hope that you try them as well. From all of us here at Hi TV, this is my homemade. I'm Erasha. I'll see you again next time.
So I'm from Sweden, but I lived in Colombo for 5 years. And before I moved here, I didn't know much at all about Sri Lankan food. But right now, I mean, when I came here, I started learning. So now I'm cooking Sri Lankan food at home. I also cook Swedish food, all kind of Western food as well. So today I'm gonna do hot butter cuttlefish. For that we need, of course, the cuttlefish. I also have corn flour and the egg to do the butter, and oil to dip, vegetable oil for the deep frying. Then we have onion, tomatoes, capsicum, spring onions, curry leaves, garlic and ginger. And we have we're gonna also use butter, of course, and then we have some spices. We have turmeric, chili powder, fennel, chili flakes. We're gonna use soya, sugar, pepper, cinnamon, salt, Maldives fish, and we also have a tomato sauce. So what we will do first is to marinate the cuttlefish, and it's good to do that to have it standing for 20 minutes. So for that I have cut the cuttlefish in quite small pieces. This is the easiest way of doing it. And I'm gonna add to this, I'm gonna add the chili powder. I'm gonna add some turmeric, or just a pinch of pepper and a pinch of salt. You can do this by hand, but I will use a spoon to just mix it well. So make sure it's mixed. The key in these recipes is the chili paste. And I will use Maldives fish to get the umami taste without needing to use any seasoning cubes or anything. So quite a lot of Maldives fish. So we will use Maldives fish. I will use a pinch of fennel. So I will use one garlic. I just need to chop in quite big pieces because we're going to use the mortar and pestle. So the garlic, I will use a small piece of ginger, also chop it in quite big pieces. And now the key. To give this, we need to use the mortar and pestle, and this will take quite a long time because it should almost be like a paste. So now I have mortared the Maldives fish really well, so I will heat a bit of vegetable oil for the chili paste. 2 teaspoons will do. And the key now is not heat it to use low temperature because you don't want the chili paste to get burned. So I will use like this. This will do. And when the oil got warm, I'll put 3 curry leaves in. So just shred them a bit and then put it in. So it's the curry leaves and the cinnamon I will use from the start. Just a very small piece. So I think we can put it in now. So just fry it for a second. And now I will also put in the Maldives fish that we just mortared. So put all of it in here. This will not only need to be fried like say 20 seconds or so. And make sure you don't burn it. So I have the Maldives fish, the curry leaves and the cinnamon in here. And I will add chili flakes, one of the most important ingredients. So I will add a lot. We'll mix this. And then we have 2 more ingredients. We have the soya sauce. So I have 2 tablespoons in here. And I also have tomato sauce. And the same amount, 2 tablespoons will do. So we will just fry this for a minute. And I will add a small pinch of sugar, not to get a sweet taste, but more to get to caramelize the chili paste. Now the chili paste is done, and we just need to make the cuttlefish and have this standing on the side. So now we will start with the cuttlefish. And I mean the cuttlefish have now been marinated, so I will start doing the butter for the cuttlefish. I will have 1 egg, just put it in. I will use the coconut shell, so I have 1 egg. I will just beat that egg really well and I will season it a bit, just to get the color and a bit of the flavor. So I will use turmeric for that. I will use just a pinch of salt and a pinch of pepper. And then beat it well. So we will dip the cuttlefish in this. Then, so we'll dip the cuttlefish in this and then in the corn flour. And I will do the same. I will season in the corn flour a bit as well. So I will use turmeric for that. I will use a bit of salt, salt and pepper. And then I will mix this well. So we have the corn flour, the egg and the cuttlefish. And now we need to heat the oil. And the key here is not to be careful so you not burn the cuttlefish. So not use too much corn flour, just dip the cuttlefish quickly in corn flour. So what I'm doing, you need to do this by hand, there's no other way of doing it. So I'm taking the cuttlefish, I have the small pieces, I'm dipping it in my eggs. So everything is covered with egg. Take it up, I dip it quite quickly in the corn flour. We don't want too much corn flour, we want just a small pieces of corn flour. If you take too much, it burns really easily. So when you're sure that the oil is heated, you can put the cuttlefish in. And be careful so you don't get burned. So this takes a bit of time. You need to do one by one. Usually it takes around 4 to 6 minutes to fry the cuttlefish. But you will see, like the cuttlefish should get like a gold brown flavor and then it's done. Keep them there for a minute or 2, and then after that I will put them up and put them on the paper, so you just get the exceeded oil to get rid of the exceeded oil. Yes. So, been frying them, so I will put them on the paper, and as you can see they are golden brown now. So now I will cut all the vegetables we need for the cuttlefish. So I will use onions, I will start with that. So I will use half an onion, that will be enough, and I will cut quite a big wedges. And we want quite big chunky pieces for this. So I have the onion here. I will use spring onions, like 1.5 centimeters. Yeah, you can do as big as you want. So we have the spring onions. So I will also use half of a capsicum, and I will do the same with that. I will chop that in quite big pieces. The last thing is 1 tomato. Do the same, chop it in quite big pieces as well. I will chop this in 9 pieces each. Great, so now we have all the vegetables, and we're gonna fry this in the butter. So I will need a pan. So I will take the butter, like 2 tablespoons will do, or like 1 tablespoon, 1 big tablespoon. So I put the butter. Here it's also important to not burn the butter, and that's quite easily done. So you need to have the gas over on almost the smallest flame. So I will start with melting the butter, and when the butter is melted, we will put the onions in. The whole step will go very quickly. We don't want to fry the onions too long. We wanted them to be crispy. Just fry it for 1 minute. So now we'll put in the capsicum. So just let it be for a minute. And then our key ingredient, the cuttlefish. And we just want everything to get the butter on. We don't want to get soggy or anything, and we will do this quite quickly. To the chili paste we did earlier. So I will take 1 big tablespoon of the homemade chili paste. And we just need to make sure that we mix it well. And now we have the cuttlefish, the onion, the capsicum, and the chili paste. And I will add the spring onion. So now the cuttlefish is done, and it's important to serve it directly. It's much nicer then. So I will just put it on a plate. And I love the spring onions, so I will just chop some spring onions finely, just to have as on the top of it. Great! And now our cuttlefish is done. So now the cuttlefish is ready, and as you saw, it's very simple to do. So try to do it at home, and the key is this chili paste. It's really yummy, and it makes a big difference. Yeah, it's very yummy, still crunchy, very spicy, almost a bit too spicy for me, but I'm sure you will love it. So I hope you will make this at home and that you will enjoy it. So see you at the next episode of This Is My Homemade.